What's up, Bells Up Studio, and welcome to today's 20-minute set. If snatching is your favorite, you've landed in the right place today, and if snatching is the absolute thing that you hate, I have some modifications up my little sleeves for you today, so don't worry. You just want to have a bell that you feel comfortable snatching or single arm swinging for at least 10 reps. So something that isn't too heavy, but also isn't too light. You're going to see how this program unfolds, and it is basically all cardio. Those of you that don't do either of those things, I'm going to give you an option that you can complete as we go, but the class will not be as interesting. So I highly recommend that you either snatch or single arm swing if you're going to take on this class. We're going to do a short warm up together that you will need your kettlebell for. We're going to do some hand-to-hand swings in the last part, and then just a couple body weight things before we get into that. Then we'll work through those short intervals that will get you prepped for the last part of our set today when we get nice and snatchy and sweaty. So let's go ahead and start out with some inchworm. So we're going to hinge our hips, walk out to a plank position, and do that 5 times together. Let's go in 3, 2, 1. So hips go back. I'm going to walk out, hold my plank, squeeze my butt, and then walk myself all the way back, reach my hands up. So we're just going to try to complete these reps, making sure to keep the integrity of that plank. So nice tight squeeze, push your heels back. Try to think about growing long, growing tall at the top, and really starting to connect to where you're at today, mentally and physically, for this short but mighty set. After that, we're gonna take some pogo hops. So I'm gonna give you about 15 seconds to do 2-foot pogos. We've done a few variations of these in our classes, but I want you to think of, as you do this, you're just rebounding gently from the floor. We're gonna push down, almost like we're jumping on a trampoline. Try to keep your feet flexed and land on the sole of your foot. We're gonna go 3, 2, and 1. So nice and short interval here. I might have picked the wrong hairstyle for class today. The braid is slowly coming out. We're just gonna go with it. This is true life right here. If you swing kettlebells or anything, you never know what's gonna happen. We'll go 4, 3, 2, and 1. Story of my life, my friends. Okay, let's go ahead and hit our hand-to-hand swings. We're gonna do 20 reps of these together. I'm gonna count them out for you so we hit those 20. It can be kind of a lot, but we're thinking of warming up the hinge, switching at the top, and this bell should not be too heavy for you. So just keep that in mind as you're selecting your weight. Let's get that booty feeling some things before we get into our second half of intervals. We'll go 3, 2, and 1. So we'll take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, already halfway with 10. We'll go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, almost there, 2, and last one. Bell comes down to the floor. Adjust your shorts, get ready, because we are going to dead clean and push press for our next set on a 30-second interval. Option to add a snatch to that. Catch your breath for just a second, and we'll get started through this extra little part of our warm-up before we get into those snatches or single arm swings. Secure your ponytails for the next set here. So we're gonna go dead stop clean to push press, which is a way that we can start practicing the path of the snatch. If you're gonna be snatching today, you can use this opportunity to try a snatch at the end just to warm up that pattern. So we're gonna come into our low hinge with our chest up, clean the kettlebell, bend, push. This is where I would drop, give myself 1 snatch, pull the bell down, and then set the bell down. We're gonna go through that 5 times each side to continue our class, and then we'll move into the main event. So I'm gonna give you, just from here, about 20 seconds to get ready on your first side. You can choose if you wanna start on the right or on the left today. Either way is great, and you're gonna get 5 reps total, so it's only 5 sets of that little mini complex each side before we really start getting our heart rate up. So think of this as practice. You only have to do 1 rep of each in the 30 seconds. Let's start it out. We're gonna go dead clean to push press with a snatch. 3, 2, and 1. So you really have time to catch yourself in each motion here and finish them cleanly. So I really took some time to delineate between each movement there. I suggest that you do that on every single side today. So we'll go ahead and get ready for the next one. Opposite side coming up in less than 5 seconds. We're gonna go 4, 3, 2, and 1. So we'll come down, power, bend, push, feel out that overhead drop, feel out how light you can make your grip feel throughout that snatch. Later today, there are a pretty high volume of snatches in the working set if you're choosing to do that. Make sure your hands are okay for that. If you haven't been snatching a lot, but you know how, you might want to go between single arm swings and snatches to complete it, just to make sure you take care of your calluses and don't get a hand rip today, because that is not what we want. Let's go ahead, hit your first side for the second time in 3, 2, and 1. So we'll take our clean, we'll take our push press, we're gonna drop, find that top position, really pull it down with some authority. You can take this chance to get a little bit out of that eccentric, this phase of pulling the belt down, since you do have some time between your sets. Also a good time that if you want to up your bell size for this warm-up, so when you go back down and we actually get into the volume, it feels a little bit lighter. A little pro tip right there. Okay, let's go ahead and hit your second side, second round. 3, 2, and 1. Pulling it down into that position. Okay, after we finish through these sets, I want you to really think about how you're executing your breath. So when we get into this third round, I want that extension to go along with your breath. When you're snatching, should be powerful on that up phase. Let's hit your first side, third round in 3, 2, and 1. Pull it down, set your bell down. Each one of these is taking me close to 10 seconds, maybe a little bit less. So you should have these little 20-second intervals to chill, to get a little bit of a rest. This is a 5-minute total set here between our sides. Roll your shoulders back just a little bit, squeeze your butt, tuck your pelvis. Let's get your second side in 3, 2, and 1. Trying to think of a few common errors that we see in snatching. Oftentimes in the snatch, if your punch is a little bit later, your grip's a little bit too tight, you might get that hit of the bell. You want to think of keeping that bell close and bending your elbow close to your body. So we don't want to have a straight arm here. We're going to take round 4 of 5 in this next set. So go ahead, get ready here. Clock is on. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So as I'm going up in the snatch, I'm mimicking this close elbow position that I'm finding in my push press and in my clean. So that arm should really be close to your body. If you're noticing that it's not that close to your body when you snatch, you just gotta bend your elbow a little bit sooner and maybe punch a little bit sooner. That usually helps sometimes to get that feeling instead of trying to punch when you get up to shoulder height. Let's get your second side in 3, 2, and 1. So nice and low, elbow shoots back, we catch, bend, push with power, drop, weightless, pull it down, set it down. We have 1 more rep each side to finish out this set before we get into the final 10 minutes of class, which are going to take the intensity up a lot, especially at the end. We're gonna go for 1 more set each side. How about we just flow through this one? So I want you to just do each side independently. So let's take 30 seconds for this last side. We'll go 3, 2, and 1. Just changing the program a little bit. Sometimes people see the written program and it really messes with you guys. If I do something a little different than the written, don't let it bother you. This is part of the live class. We can take a few liberties and have some fun in the moment, right? So that's the whole point. Okay, bell comes down. So for your next set, I want you to take some breaths as I explain this and start thinking about your plan of attack for where you're at today and what movements you want to take. We have a 10-minute every 60-second interval to do together. What this will look like is you're going to either pick snatches or single arm swings. You can always go between the 2 of those, but you just want to make sure that you're switching, you're doing the same set in the same interval. So you don't want to swing and snatch in the same interval. You either want to pick snatches when you're in the interval or swings. You can do as many of either as you want. Just make sure that you go with what works best for you. If you're not doing either of those things today, I recommend that you take that dead clean to push press and you try going up to 5 reps per side. And then you're gonna repeat going up to 5 reps per side. You're gonna follow the same cadence as everyone else, and you'll see how this unfolds. So what it's gonna look like, interval 1, the interval and the number of reps are always gonna match. You might be like, oh shit, I'm doing the math right now and it's a little crazy. Interval and reps will always match. So set 1, you're gonna have 1 snatch or one single arm swing on the left and right. You could also do one dead clean to push press. Then you're gonna have 2 on each side. It's gonna go all the way up until you hit 10, and shit's gonna start hitting the fan around 7. So once we get to 7, this class will really ramp up. The interval that you guys hit with 5, if you're doing dead clean to push press, when you are supposed to go to 6, I want you to go back down to 1. So kind of play with it. You can also go between single arm swings if you know how to do that. This can also be done with 2-hand kettlebell swings if you have a big bell today. So we have plenty of options. I want you to get ready to go into these sets. You might want to have a towel close or some chalk close if you are in a gym, especially if you are snatching. And we're going to get started in just a few seconds. Okay, friends, let's get that bell out in front of you. You're going to take one snatch or single arm swing in 3, 2, and 1. So you can most certainly snatch from the floor and then switch your side. This switch method is probably going to be your best bet in between your sides. Same for single arm swings if you want to save some time in these. If you're dead stop cleaning to push press, the reason you're only hitting 5 is because eventually you're going to get pretty time constrained with these ones. So because you have to kind of do 2 moves separately, it's a little harder, a little more time, or not harder, I should say, a little more time to take between them. So just be mindful of that. You have about 20 seconds and you're going to take 2 snatches each side. I want you to start practicing your exhale and making sure that your breathing is in sync with your movement. So it should be out on extension, in as the bell drops. Same idea with your single arm swings. Really sync that breath because you're going to need it later. Here we go. 2 reps in 3, 2, and 1. Remember, we're thinking vertical motion. And in the snatch, I want you to think of getting here as fast as you can. Can you get your hips into position during that drop as quickly as possible? And that's going to be the difference maker for you when we start getting into these more powerful sets. This is a good session to keep in your back pocket if you're training for a snatch test, or if you need a really quick blitz of cardio to really get your heart rate up, because this one we're definitely going above a zone 2. We're getting up into that maybe 3 or 4 by the end, because you're not going to have a lot of rest here. You have 20 seconds until we hit 3 reps. And I do have to say, this is going to be difficult to do with a dumbbell. It's a little slower with dumbbell snatching. It's a big difference. That's why for aerobic stuff, kettlebell snatching I think is superior, because that speed of the drop is a lot less clunky. So take that for what it's worth. You might have to drop the reps if you're trying this with the dumbbell. Let's go ahead for 3. 3, 2, and 1. So as I get higher in reps, I'm gonna have to make my snatches maybe a little bit faster. So I'm kind of conserving some energy here in these first few sets. Remember, up until we get to about 6. 6 is where it starts to feel like you're actually getting a lot less rest. So enjoy this rep set coming up of 4 and of 5. I'm gonna take some single arm swings in this set just to demo those ones and show you guys those hand-to-hand switches. You can always go in between if, again, snatching is newer for you, or this rep count feels like it's gonna be a little bit high for you today. Take what you need, because it is way more important that you keep your hands feeling healthy and your shoulders, than you go crazy with snatches if you haven't been doing them a lot. Okay, here we go. Clock is on for round 4. That means 4 reps. 3, 2, and 1. So I'll switch at the top. After that 4th single arm swing, gently let my bell come down to the floor. With your single arm swings, they might move a little bit faster than with your snatches. So you will get a touch more rest in that one. I want you to challenge yourself too of getting your hips back efficiently and quickly. Remember, the single arm swing is gonna feel just a little more traditional hingey. The snatch might feel a little more upright than your normal hinge, maybe a tiny bit squatty, even though it's definitely a hinge, it's not a squat. Just remember that your hips are going down a little bit more in the snatch, back a little bit more in that single arm swing. Okay, we're gonna hit our 5 rep set in just about 5 seconds here. We'll keep it on the 5. So we'll go 4, 3, 2, and 1. This is definitely a low ponytail kind of class today. If you go a little too high with that thing, you might get that snatch to the face, pony, and no one wants that. Also, do not braid your hair if you have a longer ponytail situation like me, because a braid to the face at high velocity feels really terrible. Okay, guys, this is where we cross the threshold right here. We are going to 6 reps, and shit should start getting a little harder after this one. Those of you that have been feeling pretty good in your snatches, this can always be done with a little heavier. I mean, push yourself in this class. You only have 10 minutes in this sequence, even though we have a lot of reps, so you can make it as challenging as you feel like you can handle for this class, and I definitely want you to go to that point, especially if you're following this particular program with these 20-minute sessions, because this is your last one. Let's go 3, 2, and 1. 6 reps. This is where I start going a little bit faster with my hips in my snatch, because I have to get those reps in. Bells come down. That was about 30 seconds. So right now, before I go into 7, I only get 30 seconds rest here. So that rest is gonna slowly start chipping away for around 7, 8, 9, and our finisher. You have right here just about 15. I'm gonna hit my snatches here, and I want you to think 7 and 7. That's it. Count to 7, go into robot mode. I probably will not do all of them with you, so I'm not panting into the microphone the whole time, but I want you to focus on those lucky 7s here. Let's go 3, 2, and 1. That was my first 7. That was 16 seconds. That means I will track to finish about 2 seconds slower, which makes some sense with these snatches here. Keep that breath going. Very nice, guys. 8 is coming up next. For those of you that are taking snatches or maybe heavy single arm swings, try to calm yourself in this next 30 seconds. I want you to try to take breaths in through your nose that are long, exhales through your mouth that are equally long at least. Try not to get into shallow breathing. Try to keep moving around your space. Don't just stand and chill. Stay active, stay engaged, keep your mental focus here. Try your double breath if you know it for your rep count to 8. Let's go 3, 2, and 1. So my snatch double breath is in, or out, sorry, in, out. So I'd be that out breath happens at the top, or the in breath happens at the top and as I drop. So I'm kind of getting a breath here. A little more oxygen. Some people prefer it, some people hate it, some people love it. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on it. I like doing it for volume snatching like this. We're getting close to 9, guys. You have about 20 seconds. And some people like to just do that 1 for 1 breath. There isn't a right or wrong to do this. You kind of have to figure out the special spice for you. Okay, 9 and 9 here, guys. 10 seconds. Catch your breath, roll your shoulders back a little bit. Single arm swings, this is still a lot of volume and very challenging if you're doing this. If you're on the push presses, it should be 4. Let's go 3, 2, and 1. Sometimes it's always like, why do I feel so awkward on one side versus the other? If your left or right feels more awkward, you're a normal human. I want you to keep with this. You're probably still going on that second side. Right now is about 20 seconds until we go for our last set. All you have to do is finish with 10 and 10. This is your last chance here. I want you to try to complete them, even if you need to set the bell down between those 10 rep sets. Heart rate should be nice and high, especially if your bell is challenging for you. My 12 kilo is moderate for me, and I'm also not doing both sides of the reps. So you shouldn't be able to talk like I am to you right now. Let's go 3, 2, and 1. Use your hips, especially as you get tired. Final 10 reps coming up here, guys. You can't muscle it up with your arms. You've got to think, jump through the floor. Get those hips back. Make this pop here. 5 more reps for me. 5, 4, 3, 2. Final one for me here. You have just about 15 seconds until you finish out this interval. And then you finish maybe this whole program, definitely this class, single arm swing, stick with it, dead stop clean to push press. I see you guys. Last few seconds here. Everyone, bells come down in 5, 4, 3, 2. Do I have like sweat stains in my little sleeves? I do. I wondered about these tops. Not convinced yet, but we shall see. Okay, guys, you did it. If you made it to the end of this in the program, congratulations on pressing your reset button. I will see you guys in another Bells Up TV program very soon. Leave some comments. I want to say some congratulations if you've made it this far. Remember, get real, get strong, bells up. Bye.